for any country or for any government to achieve success, to redeem Nigeria against indiscipline and corruption, as introduced by Idi Agbon and Buhari during their military regime. We actually expected that when he became civilian president in 2015. We expected.
I wanted to ask that what was missing when he became the president?
Yes, practically number one, you must know that there is a sharp difference between military regime and civilian administration. A military regime is order, edit. They enact it today. I think tomorrow you must follow it. Even at times they introduce a law, they are make it to start retrospectively, in retrogression. They say, okay, we are introducing this law today. Those people who committed this offense even 3 months ago, the law should affect them. I think it happened when he introduced a particular law when against drug trafficking. He introduced that law retrospectively. The law was implemented and some people were killed. Many notable Nigerians pleaded that those people should not be killed. Those people who had been arrested and detained before the law was introduced. But he refused. During that period, I think the ideal of pushing drug peddlers kept quiet for some time. Okay? So when you look at it, the difference between military regime and the civilian administration, these differences make it difficult for Buhari to actually perform as a military leader during his regime as civilian leader. No, at the same time, it's not about the difference between military regime and civilian administration alone. You know, he was younger as a military head of state. He was full of energy. Okay? Yeah. He had the energy. Whatever you want to do, you need to have you need energy to do whatever you want to do. And when he became head of state in 2015, I mean, he was older, and at the same time, he was not all that healthy, suffering certain ailments. When he became president in 2018, I remember I was in this studio immediately after his inauguration in 2015. 3 months after, he traveled to Oluwashona. We discussed that topic when he traveled to South Africa in 2015. We discussed that topic that this president actually acknowledged that his old age won't allow him to perform as he did during the 1983 and 1984 era. So, you see, when you look at it, the difference between civilian administration and military regime and his old age, coupled with his ill health, actually affected the president. If not because of the ill health, and let me tell you, the government between 1983 and 1984 was not his own government alone, because many people believe it was Idi Agbon that actually spearheaded everything, that he was a no-nonsense man. And people who knew Buhari very well also said Buhari was a disciplinarian. There's no doubt about that. But the decadence in Nigeria, let me tell you, my sister, the decadence has eaten deep into every fabric of our system. And to get it out, to move forward, gentleman economic policies may not help. Democracy laws, gentle laws, may not help. We may need a sort of stiff laws that will checkmate the excesses of our politicians vis-a-vis their corrupt practices. The ideal of trying somebody who stole our money for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, that is not done in civilized country. In China, in North Korea, South Korea, in Saudi Arabia, where things are moving forward. If you are corrupt, of course, police over there, prosecutors, before they take you to court, they must have laid their hands on the evidence, ample evidence that you actually committed that offense. It's not like in Nigeria, where an offender, a suspect will take to court, they will put him in jail, therefore looking for evidence to prosecute him. It's not like that. In developed country, before a suspect is taken to the court, they must have prepared every necessary evidence with which he was charged to court. Okay, so what I'm just trying to say, Buhari couldn't have performed like a military head of state under civilian administration. That is one, because of the measure, the stringent measures he has to undertake before getting certain things done. For example, you want a particular law, you take it, your bill, you take it to the National Assembly. The National Assembly may be sitting on it for 2-3 months, 6 months. But as a military leader, you wake up one morning, you may say, as from tomorrow, workers should resume by 7 a.m. It becomes another, which you and I must respect. These are some of the things. But apart from that, it's old age, and 2, it's ill health, and 3, the level of decadence in Nigeria is become too much that it's not what anybody can just take with levity.
So if you look at some of the economic policies of Buhari while he was in government, and people are currently saying probably Tinubu has also keen to some of his economic reform policies, and they have rightly said that probably is what is affecting the country presently. Do you really agree with that?
You see, it is usually said that administration is a continuum. Buhari is a immediate predecessor of President Tinubu. There is no how Tinubu will run an administration without having some traces of his predecessor's policies. He cannot run a complete isolated administration. It's not possible. That is one of the problems we have in Nigeria or in the third world countries. When you become a leader, you don't want to do anything, you don't have anything to do with the stewards of your predecessor in office. It's bad. So whether you like it or not, when Buhari became president, there is no how he can just jettison all the policies, all the programs of his predecessor. One way or the other, he has to, incorporate some of the policies. He has to continue with some of the policies introduced by his predecessor. Okay, look at what is happening in Abuja. Some of the abandoned projects have been completed by the present governor of Abuja, and he started his own. So what I'm trying to say, there should be a sort of continuation in the system of administration. Now, to your question, that maybe Tinubu is following the system of Buhari, or is implementing precisely the policies introduced by the government of Buhari. No, I think Tinubu has been able to make a huge difference vis-a-vis the withdrawal of subsidy. I think there was subsidy during Jonathan administration, the government immediately before that of Buhari, and when Buhari came in, he also introduced it. There was subsidy throughout the 8 years regime of Buhari, and by when Tinubu came, he removed subsidy. That is a major difference one can point to, and it's a very strong factor when it comes to economic activities of any government. Subsidy removal, we are still trying to manage the negative effect of it. The incumbent government is making that effort, and the economists, they have come out to say, without removing that subsidy, our economy can hardly move forward. Not only Tinubu, I think nearly all the presidential candidates in 2015, none of them rejected the idea of subsidy removal. All of them promised to remove it. Perhaps they will have used different methods to do it, but all of them discover subsidy as evil. All of them discover a payment of subsidy as one of the problems confronting Nigeria. They promised to remove it. But when Tinubu won that election, he promised it as part of election promises. Then when he got to power, he removed it. He made that difference. And economists have come to say that now that I remove it, that, you know, our economy is gradually taking a new shape. You know, I believe it's not going to be overnight. Yes, it's not going to be overnight. It's not easy to turn things around in a jiffy in a country like Nigeria. Now, when you look at it, another difference you can see, the exchange rate. Yes, Naira has lost its value. When you look at the exchange rate, the value of Naira under Buhari was higher than that of Tinubu. But there's one important thing you need to know, is the fact that the exchange rate is a bit stable than under Buhari. Not only that, the black market rate and the official rate, they are almost at par. Under Buhari, the lovers or, you know, cronies of government can just enter into the bank, buy dollars at official rate, sell it within 1 hour and become a billionaire, which is not even possible now. If you go to bank, you buy at official rate, the black market, the rate, they are almost the same. So that business, that shady business has, you know, been jettisoned by some big Nigerians who have been, you know, bastardizing our economy in the process of doing that. So, having said that, we see that Tinubu's administration is not a clone of that of Buhari. It's not a carbon copy of that of Buhari. He has been able to make some differences physically, and you and I can see it. So, like I said earlier, he must still continue with some of the policies introduced by the predecessor, because administration, they say, is a continuum.
But then we look at it, Mr. Okeya, because like he said, he would have loved to be the president while he was younger.
Yeah.
But then he never had opportunity, not until he became old. But let us look at Nigeria holistically.
Yeah.
Because our thinking then was that as highly disciplined as he was, he should be able to use it to correct some anomalies in the system. Now he had to be flown abroad for treatment before he passed on. But one way or the other, they emerged as leaders of this darling country. Why is it so difficult for them to fix the country of, in terms of medical facilities, rather than going abroad for treatment?
Thank you, Oluwashola. Am I right?
Yeah.
You see, this is one of the problems confronting us. It's not even only the president. Many of our leaders, they had the opportunity of traveling abroad. They enjoy good facilities and infrastructure over there. But when they come to Nigeria, they've not seen any reason why they should introduce that in our own country. It's very unfortunate. Like I said, it's not about Mr. President alone. Many leaders in our offices, state governors, legislators, local government chairmen of parastatals. Yes. Now, as we are discussing here, Absalam, another head of state, is in London. He's one of the clinics in London. He's recuperating there.
Yeah.
But, like Buhari, he's done his term, 8 year tenure. First term, 4 years, second term, another 4 years. I think he spent about 230 days in outside Nigeria. Receiving treatment abroad in different hospitals, different clinics in London. Now, throughout that period, he never realized the need to build a world-class hospital in Nigeria where he can receive treatment. It's very unfortunate. Yeah. We have doctors, we have nurses in Nigeria who are competent to treat these people, but the environment, the atmosphere makes it difficult for them to perform. Yeah. So, like you have said, the observation is right, but our leaders have not been replicating what they saw abroad. They have not been able to bring those things here. For 8 years, I expected a leader like Buhari at least to say, well, since he had been going for treatment, and he saw the type of hospital, the type of facility he enjoyed there, what disturbed him from bringing such to Nigeria? We have the resources, we have the money to do it, we have both human and mineral resources to move Nigeria forward, but leaders have not been able to do the needful. I said he spent 230 since he became president. I think 2015 it was a bit okay. He managed to complete 2015. As from 2016, 2017, 2018, up to 2023, there was no a single year he was not hospitalized in London.
And that should have been enough for him to
build a world-class hospital in any of the parts of Nigeria that can easily treat him.
Yes, if you look at it, Mr. Okeya, now that Kashim Shettima has been told to go out there to bring his body back, Nigerians are currently mourning. In Katsina State, today has been declared as a work-free day. The flag to be flown up mast, and so many things being lined up.
The legislative arm of government has suspended activities at the National Assembly
in his honor. But when you put all this together, will you say there are enough, even concerning the words of encouragement coming from some of our leaders? Former Aviation Minister Fani Kaode, he has a way of describing the late president, and some other people, really, the accolades and decision being taken by the federal government and state government declaring today as work-free day, and the federal government saying the national flag should be flown half-mast across the country. All this put together, will you say, yes, depicts the quality and the reign of former President Muhammadu Buhari?
Yes, thank you very much. When Buhari was alive, many people know divergent opinions about him, which is normal of every human being. Now that he's dead, people will still know their views about him. But let me tell you, our culture is not only in Africa. We don't normally see evil of the dead. Yes, it's normal thing is to think about the life he has spent well and his posthumous life as well. So now, what you are describing is not too much. It's not just about Buhari. It's about former president of Nigeria. Is that office? Now we are celebrating. Yes, we are equally celebrating his past because he died at a ripe age of 82. He spent 82 years on earth in a country where the life expectancy is just about 54 years. So I think he was fortunate. Yes, life expectancy in Nigeria is about 54
and
years.
And even his role as coup plotter. I think he was involved in the coup that removed General Gowon.
Yes.
And of course, just maybe I should allow you.
Yes, you are making a point we are discussing. Yes, I think don't forget, he was one of the people that fought for the unity of Nigeria, the Civil War, the 30-year Civil War. He fought. He was one of the people that fought before he became head of state. That is even more significant. He fought for the unification of Nigeria when the Igbo people decided to leave. They fought, and today we are still together. It's one of his achievements. Some of these military leaders, Babangida, they used to refer to that. Beat their chest that, look, we did this. Truly, without their effort. During the Civil War, between 1967 and 1970, we will have remained a united country. So like I said, it's not just about Buhari as an individual. It's about Buhari, the former president of Nigeria. We are celebrating. We must give him a befitting burial. We must honor him as our former president, not just as Buhari of Daura. So if any of our former president passes on, we have to do the needful. The record is there. The way a former president should be buried, honors that should be given to him, they are on record, which every leader must try as much as possible who will not die.
But if you look at the social media of today, you will discover that most of the tributes are actually coming from the politician, the so-called politician. If you see what an average Nigerian is actually posting about Buhari, you wouldn't even like it so much. So what do you think?
Yes, I think what you need to know, when you say politicians have more advantage than the ordinary people. When you say social media, people are already in their farms now. Do they have time to go into social media? So politicians, they have that advantage. It is politicians who know the type of media they want to use, how they can propagate their ideas. That is one thing. Then secondly, like I said, Buhari had both his positive and negative side, like you and I. So everybody is perfectly entitled to his own opinion under the new democratic dispensation. You may come out to say, oh, he did well, or you may come out to say he didn't do well. So, you know, here today, I've mentioned some of his lapses.
Yeah.
He traveled to Europe for about 230 days across his presidency, seeking medical assistance abroad without being able to build at least 2 or 3 world-class hospitals in some parts of Nigeria. I mentioned that. The corruption, it started when he was military head of state. Yes, he made mention of it, that he was going to fight corruption when he became president in 2015. But the lapses, we all saw it, because he didn't fight corruption as expected. Even though as a civilian president, he didn't fight it as expected. Like I said, we all know that he could not have performed, or he could not have fought it as a military leader. But even as a civilian leader, he didn't fight corruption, because there was a huge corruption in Buhari's administration.
But when you look at it, Mr. Okeya,
yes,
while coming on board, we thought, don't forget that the terrorists started their problem during the period of Ebele Jonathan, when Chibok girls were adopted, and of course, I think Izilia Suna was equally kidnapped, and up till now we've not been able to see the return of Bilia. So we thought Buhari coming around should be able to tame terrorists.
Yeah, you are talking about security.
Yeah.
Yes, you see, here generally we want to discuss the life and time of Buhari. It's not that we actually want to make a critic of him, because security under his watch, we expected a change. As a retired Major General, that was one of my expectations, that as a retired military head of state, then now opportune to get elected as civilian leader, I thought he would turn things around, most especially in the area of security. But I must tell you, he was unable to make any difference. There was Boko Haram, there were different splinter insurgent groups under his watch. So, in my own view, he had his own negative side and positive view, like you and I. So that is why we've been able to see some of the good aspects of our former leader, and we have been able to see some of the positive side of him. So that is what we are expected to see. So when you look at it, even when he was sick in 2015, I think this Nnamdi Kanu even suggested that the man was dead, and we only see the clone of Buhari. Yes, that one Jubilee from Sudan was cloned as Buhari. Even up to today, I saw the post of his brother, Kanu's brother. He said Nigeria, Buhari has died for the second time, because he's still claiming that it's Sanusi or Jubilee that was cloned that now died, not really Buhari. But in my own view, as in Nigeria, I believe at that time Buhari never died. He has just died now, in my own view. Because the science that we clone a person, a Jubilee of Sudan, to look exactly like our own Buhari, to function as husband of Aisha.
Aisha.
He's so sophisticated. It's not just anybody can do in his corner room. And without detecting it thereafter,
Yeah.
he made that allegation in 2015 that Jubilee was cloned as Buhari. And up till today, no scientist has come out to say, no, that operation was done somewhere. Or it was so country that did it. None of such. So we can conclude, within me, I can conclude that it was just a fallacy. No, it was real Buhari that was sick in 2017 and healed, came back to Nigeria, and I believe it's the same Buhari that has just died on Sunday.
Yes, Bimbo. Okay, but if you look at it, Mr. Okeya, like we have said, that he was involved in some games in Nigeria as a military as well as a civilian. But most of the time, the younger ones may not be able to say much about his period as military, because he was actually commissioned second lieutenant. And I think among the Fulanis then, it was a position that he felt one of them should occupy, because don't forget that one of the major crises between Ojukwu and Gowon was the issue of leadership, where Ojukwu believed he was superior.
No, seniority.
Yes, seniority to Gowon. But then don't forget that the northern caravan had to bring in Gowon to make chief for the death of Tafawa Balewa, and of course, which led to the killing of Aguiyi-Ironsi. But let's look at it. Even his role as a military personnel at the time, he was a member of the Supreme Council. At the time, he was the secretary for the military guys, and yes, and at the time, he was the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces Ruling Council in Nigeria. When you put all this together, and don't forget that the coup that removed Gowon, yes, historians want us to believe that Buhari played a major role by helping the late Murtala Mohammed to come on power. But then, if you look at it, his experience as a military personnel, even in Africa, when he emerged as the chairman of AU, his term, then what will you have to say about this?
You see, when it comes to military politics, it's another thing entirely. You alluded to the case of Gowon, but when that coup came up, yes, the politics in the military did not favor Ojukwu to become head of state. Yes, it was politics, taking into consideration what happened during the January and July coup in 1966. So, and it started then, and it has continued. No change has come up concerning the politics in the army. We've seen instances where a military officer will come to power and he will be forced to retire all the senior officers. And let me tell you, when Ironsi was killed, I think Gowon came. Yes, who killed Ironsi? And the politics in the army did not favor any Igbo man to become the president, because it was the northerners, the military officer from the north that actually spearheaded that coup. So when they did this successfully, you don't expect them to bring somebody from the enemy side, because they perceive at that time the Igbo people as their enemy. So when the coup was successful, they bring Gowon. They brought in Gowon, who was even junior to Ojukwu. So, because that has been one of the grievances of Ojukwu, that he cannot take order or command from his junior. So, after the Civil War, Gowon was there for about 8 or 9 years. Then when another man take over, he's still the same northerner. Okay? Murtala Mohammed. It was his death that paved the way for General Olusegun Obasanjo, a Yoruba man. That is why in 1979, when Awolowo contested under the banner of UPN and Shagari NPN, practically the father of Nigeria believed the power should be rotated to the north, because a northerner was there, Yakubu Gowon. He was assassinated. Then a Yoruba man came in as head of state. He was there for a period of time. Then it was the belief of some leaders in Nigeria that now that a Hausa person was killed, Yoruba was there for a period of time, it's not fair for power to return to Yoruba again. So that is why even before the election, Obasanjo and other leaders, power brokers in Nigeria, had made up their mind not allow power to go back to Yoruba again. There's nothing could have made Awolowo become president of Nigeria in 1979 because the politics, the national politics did not favor a Yoruba man again. So when you look at it ever since, even in our political terrain, we have been following that pattern that power from the north, then it has to go to the south, from south to the north. Because when you consider the structure of Nigeria, it has to be so. Very unfortunate. We're supposed to get leader from anybody who's competent, anybody who have the necessary experience. But it's not like that here. When it is time, okay, a Yoruba man is there now. After his maybe 8 years or two terms, we'll be thinking that power should go to the north. Whether we like it or not, no matter how brilliant another person might be from the south, people will think, no, it is the time of the north to get it. But at the same time, that shouldn't be part of our problem, because I believe in the northern part of Nigeria, we have millions of people there. Nobody will tell me that we cannot get an experienced person in the north.
Relationship between Buhari and Shagari, despite the fact that they were both Fulani, was not neat and was not cordial. I could remember even the son of Alhaji Shehu Shagari, who was one time Minister for Water Resources, I want to get the name now, couldn't support Buhari when Buhari was coming to contest against Jonathan. I think the man was serving under Jonathan then, and he felt it would be better to follow Jonathan rather than following Buhari. I think even as Fulanis, Buhari and Shagari never had it so good.
You should know the reason. It was Buhari and Idi that overthrew the government of Shagari in 1983.
But then they have reason because of the killings, just like we've seen on our screen.
Yes,
killings of
they have the reason, but somebody who send you packing, may God forbid pass bad thing. Somebody who send you away from your place of work, you hardly have a good relationship with him thereafter. This is sadly, that's the origin of their problem. Both Fulanis, yes. Shagari was democratically elected in 1979. Then he was elected for a second term in 1983, but the military, under the leadership of Buhari, overthrew the government of Shagari. So I think that was the origin of their problem. So because Shagari felt a Fulani man shouldn't have overthrown a government of another Fulani man, whether good or bad. But a military man didn't want to know. He overthrew the government of Shagari. That was the origin of the enmity or animosity between Shagari and Buhari. So it continues like that. Yes.
Yeah,
and it becomes a generational thing. We see the family of Buhari, we see the family of Shagari as enemies. It started in that 1983.
Yes.
You have spoken about some of the lapses of Buhari administration, and of course you also talk about the good part of him. What do you think our politicians should embrace from his traits?
Yes, thank you very much. We have mentioned some of it. We have said that for 4 or 5 different times, Buhari, as a president of Nigeria, traveled abroad, precisely to the United Kingdom, to seek medical help. And throughout that period, he never deemed it fit, establishing a world-class hospital in some part of Nigeria where himself or other leaders or any Nigerian can just seek medical assistance. So politicians, they need to learn from that. At least, if Buhari, after visiting those hospitals abroad, after seeing those infrastructural facilities over there, he's supposed to say, okay, why can't I take this to my country? If he had established maybe world-class hospital, well-equipped hospitals in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, that will have become a place that can save many lives today. Some of our political leaders, ordinary Nigerians, could have gone there in case there is any problem. So I think our leaders must learn that lesson. And again, Nigerians as a country, we have a lesson to learn. I don't know how we can do about that. The moment we see that a particular candidate, a politician is not healthy, there's no point in letting them. We are seeing our own, because there are so many other factors and variables, you know, determining who wins an election in Nigeria. We are saying it here. The moment a leader is not healthy enough, is not agile, you know, to move around, to interact with outside world, to promulgate policies, there is a problem. You know, I said, when Buhari traveled to South Africa in 2015, almost 2 months after his inauguration, he said it when he met a Nigerian community in that country, that his old age. He never mentioned in his e-health. We cannot say, it's not hidden anyway, that from 2015 to 2023, Buhari was always visiting one hospital or the other. So that did not give enough time for him, you know, to concentrate on the business of governance. So we need to learn that lesson.
All right, thank you, our good friend, Mr. Okeya. It has been nice having you in the studio. Yes, he played draft service for us as a military head of state between 1983 and August 1985. And had to come back again after contesting several times to emerge as president of Nigeria for a 2-term. It was indeed a gladsome one having him to have ruled Nigeria because before he became the president, it was as if it was a wish he was clamoring for, that when will he be privileged again to go back to the State House, and God granted him. That's the size of it this morning. Bimbo is here. Bimbo, maybe you close this chapter. Really.
Yeah. What will I say? Mr. Okeya has spoken a lot about the life and times of President Muhammadu Buhari, and what I would like to tell people is that we should remember that death is the ultimate end of every woman, and that's it from my own end this morning.
Yes, Mr. Okeya, thanks for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, some other time we'll have you in the studio anyway.
No problem. No
yes,
problem.
Daybreak Nigeria continues after this time out. Please stay tuned. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Daybreak Nigeria from EKTV in the heartbeat of the Southwest. We break your day on EKTV Daybreak Nigeria with inclusive information, news without prejudice, well-articulated reportage, in-depth